The galaxy shuddered in fear. Then humanity showed up. The stars looked different from this distance. Captain Daniel Wright stood on the observation deck of the USS Horizon, humanity's first true interstellar vessel. After 3 years of travel, they had finally reached Alpha Centauri. Daniel ran his hand through his short brown hair and took a deep breath. They were making history with every passing moment. "Captain, you should come to the bridge." Lisa Monroe's voice came through the comm system. The ship's chief xenobiologist sounded tense. Daniel frowned. "On my way." When he arrived on the bridge, the crew was gathered around the main view screen. Jack Harris, the tactical officer, pointed at a blinking object. "We detected it about 10 minutes ago, sir. It's definitely not natural." On the screen, a damaged vessel drifted silently through space. Its design was unlike anything humans had ever built, sleek and almost organic in appearance, with what looked like crystalline structures along its hull. Parts of it were blackened as if hit by weapons fire. "Life signs?" Daniel asked. Lisa checked her readings. 1, very faint. Definitely not human. Daniel nodded slowly. The mission protocols were clear. Observe, document, and avoid direct contact with alien life unless absolutely necessary. But the ship was clearly damaged and someone was still alive inside. "Prepare a boarding party. Full containment protocols. I'll lead it myself." Jack looked concerned. "Sir, with all due respect." "I know the protocols, Lieutenant, but someone's dying out there. We didn't come all this way to watch that happen." 20 minutes later, Daniel, Lisa, and Jack floated through the silent alien vessel. Their suits had separate air supplies and were designed to prevent any biological contamination in either direction. The interior of the ship was bathed in a soft blue light with strange symbols etched into walls that seemed to pulse gently. "This way," Lisa said, following her scanner readings. "The life sign is getting stronger." They found the alien in what appeared to be the control room. It was lying on the floor, a pool of greenish fluid beneath it. The creature was roughly humanoid: 2 arms, 2 legs, a central body, and a head. But its skin was a pale lavender color, with faint patterns that shifted like clouds. It had no nose, just breathing slits and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. When they entered, all 4 eyes opened wide with terror. The alien backed away, making high-pitched sounds that seemed to convey fear. Lisa stepped forward slowly, hands raised. "It's okay," she said, even though she knew the alien couldn't understand her. "We're here to help." She activated the Universal Translator, a device designed to analyze speech patterns and attempt to find linguistic commonalities. It might not work, but it was worth trying. The alien continued to make distressed sounds, pressing itself against a wall. Daniel noted that it wore what looked like a uniform or flight suit, with insignia he couldn't recognize. "Please," Lisa tried again. "We want to help you." After several minutes of the translator working, it finally produced a rough approximation. In English, "Death coming, you flee now." Daniel stepped forward. "We're not going to hurt you. Your ship is damaged. We can help." The alien stared at them with all 4 eyes, clearly struggling to understand. The translator continued to process the alien's speech. "You... not... no. Cravor, hunt me, hunt all. They find you. You die." Lisa and Jack exchanged worried glances. Daniel kept his voice calm. "Who is hunting you? Who are the Cravor?" The alien's colors seemed to pale further. It pointed to a control panel, which lit up with a holographic display showing a massive fleet of ships. The vessels were angular and predatory-looking, bristling with what were clearly weapons. Cravor rule galaxy. Find a new species and make slaves or destroy. Daniel felt a chill run down his spine. Humanity had often wondered if they were alone in the universe. They had imagined peaceful first contact or perhaps finding no intelligent life at all. No one had predicted this, a galaxy already dominated by a hostile force. "We need to get it back to our ship," Lisa said. "Its injuries need treatment." Jack looked nervous. "If what it's saying is true, we should get out of here. Report back to Earth." Daniel studied the alien, who was trembling slightly. "What's your name?" he asked. The translator processed the reply. "Zexel of Pelionar." Zexel, we want to help you. Will you come with us to our ship? We have medicine. The alien seemed confused by the offer. You help? Why? Not know me. Daniel smiled behind his helmet. That's what humans do. We help when we can. This concept appeared to baffle Zexel completely. After some hesitation, it agreed to go with them, though every movement was cautious, as if expecting a trap. Back on the horizon, the medical team worked to stabilize Zexel while maintaining quarantine protocols. Lisa spent hours improving the translation software, and by the end of the ship's day cycle, they could communicate much more clearly. Daniel sat across from Zexel in the medical bay's isolation unit. The alien looked better. Its color had deepened to a richer purple, and it sat upright. Thank you for saving me, Zexel said through the translator. My people believed all other species were like the Kravor, taking what they want, killing what they fear. The galaxy isn't peaceful then? Daniel asked. Zexel made a sound the translator identified as bitter laughter. Peace? The galaxy is ruled by the strongest. The Kravor collective conquered half the known systems in the last 3 centuries. My world was taken 20 years ago. Most of my people serve as laborers now. And you? I was a scientist. I stole a ship to search for help, for any species that might stand against the collective. Zexel's 4 eyes blinked in sequence. No one has succeeded. All who resist are crushed. Jack, who stood nearby, spoke up. How advanced are they compared to us? I do not know your technology level, but the collective has enslaved 47 species and takes their innovations. They have planet killers, thought control devices, ships that can travel vast distances instantly. Daniel processed this information grimly. Humanity had just taken its first steps into interstellar space. They weren't ready for this. Before he could ask another question, alarms blared throughout the ship. The communication officer's voice came over the speakers. Captain, to the bridge. Multiple unknown vessels just appeared at the edge of the system. Zexel's color drained almost to white. They found me. The Kravor tracking technology. I thought I disabled it. Daniel rushed to the bridge with Jack close behind. On the main view screen, 3 ships appeared, matching the design Zexel had shown them. Angular, predatory, and much larger than the horizon. They're scanning us, the sensor officer reported nervously. Can we outrun them? Daniel asked. Jack shook his head. Not likely, sir. Their engines appear far more advanced. Lisa's voice came through the comm from the medical bay. Captain, Zexel says these are just scout ships. If they report finding a new species, the main fleet will come. Daniel stared at the alien vessels, weighing their options. Humanity wasn't prepared for this threat. They needed time to prepare, to warn Earth. Set course for home, maximum speed, he ordered, and pray we make it back before they follow. As the Horizon's engines powered up, a transmission came through. On the screen appeared a being similar to Zexel but with crimson skin and elaborate armor. It spoke, the words translated a moment later. Unknown vessel, you harbor a fugitive of the Kravor collective. Surrender immediately or be destroyed. Daniel cut the transmission. Get us out of here now. The Horizon accelerated away from Alpha Centauri, carrying with it humanity's first alien visitor, and news that would change Earth forever. The galaxy wasn't the peaceful frontier they had hoped for. It was a battlefield, and humanity had just been noticed by the biggest predator in it. The galaxy shuddered in fear, then humanity showed up. Part 2, the USS Horizon returned to Earth after an emergency jump that pushed its engines to the limit. The ship limped into orbit with damage from the brief encounter with Kravor scout vessels. Captain Daniel Wright had managed to outmaneuver the alien ships just long enough to escape, but he knew they weren't far behind. Within hours of their arrival, the United Nations Space Command headquarters in Geneva buzzed with activity. Military leaders, scientists, and government officials from around the world gathered in the main conference room. Zexel, now stronger after medical treatment, stood nervously beside Daniel. Admiral Catherine Reeves, head of Earth's Defense Forces, entered the room. She was a tall woman with steel-gray hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. The crowd fell silent as she took her place at the head of the table. "Captain Wright, please begin your report," she said. Daniel described their encounter in Alpha Centauri and introduced Zexil to the assembled leaders. Many looked at the alien with wonder, others with suspicion. "The Kravor Collective has conquered half the known galaxy," Daniel explained. "They enslave or destroy any species they encounter." Zexil stepped forward. The translator device around its neck converted its speech to English. "Your world is in danger," Zexil said. "The scouts have surely reported back to the main fleet by now. The Kravor will come with hundreds of ships. They always do." A military general stood up. "How much time do we have?" "Perhaps one of your months," Zexil replied. "They must gather their forces." The room erupted in worried conversation. Earth had only 50 warships capable of space combat. Most were designed for conflicts with other human vessels, not alien invaders. Dr. Eric Summers, a military historian with thick glasses and a quiet voice, raised his hand. When Admiral Reeves nodded to him, he stood up. "I've been studying the information Captain Wright sent ahead," he said, "and I believe humanity may have an advantage the Kravor don't expect." Everyone turned to look at him. "From what Zexil has told us, most species in the galaxy evolved in environments with limited competition. They developed technology before they developed strong military tactics. But humans," he pushed his glasses up, "humans have been fighting each other for our entire history. War is in our DNA." Admiral Reeves frowned. "Are you suggesting our violent past is now an asset?" "Exactly," Dr. Summers nodded. "We think differently. We're adaptable in ways other species aren't. We've mastered guerrilla warfare, psychological operations, and unconventional tactics. The Kravor expect surrender or simple resistance they can overwhelm with superior numbers." Lisa Monroe, who had been quietly listening, spoke up. "Zexil and I have been studying Kravor biology and technology. They rely heavily on intimidation. Their actual combat tactics are predictable. They have not needed to evolve their strategies," Zexil added. "No species has truly challenged them in centuries." A tense silence fell over the room as everyone considered this information. Finally, Admiral Reeves spoke. "I won't surrender Earth without a fight. Dr. Monroe, continue working with Zexil. Learn everything you can about Kravor weaknesses. Captain Wright, you'll work with our fleet commanders to develop strategy." She stood tall, her voice firm. "I am authorizing Operation Thunderbolt. We will mobilize every ship we have and prepare Earth's defenses." In the following weeks, Earth transformed. Military bases buzzed with activity. Factories worked around the clock to produce weapons and supplies. Space stations were converted into defensive platforms. Daniel spent long days with Commander Sam Rivera, Earth's leading tactical expert. Sam was younger than most commanders, with a quick mind and unorthodox ideas that had earned him both praise and criticism. "The Kravor expect us to defend Earth directly," Sam explained as they studied star maps. "But what if we don't?" Daniel raised an eyebrow. "What do you mean?" "We use the solar system itself as a weapon." Sam pointed to the outer planets. "Jupiter's moons provide cover. Saturn's rings create sensor interference. We hide our fleet, strike fast, and disappear." Meanwhile, Lisa and Zexil made a breakthrough. They sat in the research lab surrounded by holographic displays of Kravor technology. "They're neural implants," Lisa said, pointing to a diagram. "Every Kravor warrior has one. It connects them to their command structure." Zexil nodded. "Yes, it allows their leaders to control large forces efficiently. But it's also a weakness," Lisa continued excitedly. "If we could disrupt that signal, it would cause chaos," Zexil finished. "But no one has ever managed to hack Kravor systems." Lisa smiled. "No one has ever tried with human AI systems." 3 weeks after the Horizon's return, long-range sensors detected a large fleet entering the solar system. 200 Kravor vessels approached Neptune, moving in perfect formation. In the UNSC Command Center, Admiral Reeves watched the incoming fleet on the main screen. Beside her stood Daniel, Lisa, and Sam. "They're broadcasting, Admiral," a communication officer reported. The screen changed to show a Cravor commander. Its crimson skin was decorated with battle scars, and its 4 eyes glowed with confidence. "I am Supreme Executor Drazkul of the Cravor Collective," the alien said through the translator. "Your species has been assessed and found suitable for integration. Surrender now, and 20% of your population will be permitted to live as productive servants. Resist, and all will be eliminated." Admiral Reeves stared at the screen, but said nothing. "You have 1 planetary rotation to submit your surrender," Drazkul continued. "After that, we begin cleansing operations." The transmission ended. Everyone in the command center looked to Admiral Reeves. "They expect fear," she said calmly. "They expect surrender or a desperate direct defense." She turned to Commander Rivera. "They won't get either. Implement Operation Thunderbolt. Earthsea." 50 warships hidden behind Jupiter's moons powered up their engines. Each captain received the same message. The hunt begins. On the bridge of the newly repaired Horizon, Daniel took his captain's chair. "All systems ready, sir." Jack Harris reported from Tactical. "Lieutenant Olivia Pearson, is the Shadow Strike ready?" Daniel asked over the comm. "Ready and waiting, Captain," came the reply from the stealth frigate that would lead the first strike. Daniel looked at the image of the Cravor fleet on his screen. The aliens expected easy victory. They had no idea what was coming. "Humanity has been fighting wars since we first picked up sticks and stones," he said quietly. "Let's show them what we've learned along the way." The Earth fleet moved silently through the solar system, preparing for the first engagement against an enemy that had never known defeat. The galaxy was about to learn that humans were not like other species, and the Cravor were about to learn what fear felt like. The galaxy shuddered in fear, then humanity showed up. Part 3 Supreme Executor. Drazkul stood on the command deck of his flagship, watching as the deadline for Earth's surrender passed. His 4 eyes narrowed in anticipation. This was always his favorite moment, when a new species realized their doom was sealed and made their final futile stand. No response from the humans, his second-in-command reported. "Begin the attack," Drazkul ordered. "Standard conquest formation. There, primitive weapons will barely scratch our shields." The Cravor fleet moved forward in perfect rows, 200 ships strong. Their scanners showed Earth's defenses, orbital platforms, and a small number of ships protecting the planet. It would be an easy victory, like countless others before. Then, something unexpected happened. The Earth forces didn't move to engage, they held position, waiting. Drazkul frowned. They simply wait for death? Strange. Most species at least attempt to fight. Suddenly, alerts blared across his command deck. From behind Jupiter's largest moon emerged 10 human vessels, attacking the rear of the Cravor formation with missiles and energy weapons. "A surprise attack?" Drazkul laughed. "Send rear squadron to eliminate them." 30 Cravor ships broke formation and turned to destroy the human attackers. But as they moved to engage, the Earth vessels scattered in different directions, disappearing behind other moons and into Saturn's rings. "Sir, we've lost tracker lock on the human ships," an officer reported. Before Drazkul could respond, another alert sounded. This time, 15 Earth vessels appeared near Neptune, striking another section of his fleet before again disappearing. "What is this?" Drazkul demanded. "Why can't we maintain locks on their ships?" On the bridge of the USS Horizon, Captain Daniel Wright watched the battle unfold on his tactical display. Commander Sam Rivera's strategy was working perfectly. Earth's ships struck in small groups, then used the natural features of the solar system to break sensor locks before regrouping for another hit. "The Cravor are breaking formation," Jack Harris reported with a grin. "They're trying to chase our attack groups." Daniel nodded. "Just as planned. They're used to enemies who fight head-on. They don't know how to handle guerrilla tactics." In the command center on Earth, Admiral Reeves monitored the battle with Zexel at her side. The alien watched in amazement as the human ships outmaneuvered the more powerful Cravor vessels. "I've never seen anyone fight the collective this way," Zexel said. "Your ships are less advanced, but your tactics—" "We've had plenty of practice fighting against superior forces," Admiral Reeves replied. "Humanity has a long history of the underdog winning through cleverness rather than strength." As the battle continued, The Cravor fleet became increasingly disorganized. Their perfect formation dissolved as ships chased Earth vessels through the outer planets. Aboard the stealth frigate Shadowstrike, Lieutenant Olivia Pearson prepared for the mission's most dangerous phase. Her ship had special cloaking technology that made it nearly invisible to sensors. Approaching the Cravor command ship, Olivia reported to Earth Command. Ready to begin Operation Trojan. While the main battle distracted the Cravor, the Shadowstrike slipped close to Drazkul's massive flagship. Olivia's team of 6 included 2 engineers and Lisa Monroe, who had volunteered for the mission due to her knowledge of Cravor biology. Remember, Lisa told the team as they prepared to board, their neural implants are their weakness. If we can access their central computer, we can upload the virus. Wearing specialized stealth suits, they left the Shadowstrike and moved through space toward a maintenance airlock on the Cravor flagship. Lisa carried a small device containing an AI program designed to infiltrate the Cravor systems. Inside the enemy ship, they moved carefully through dark corridors. The few Cravor they encountered were too focused on the battle to notice the small team of humans using the shadows for cover. Their command center should be 2 levels up, Lisa whispered, checking the ship layout Zexil had provided. After 30 tense minutes, they reached a computer access terminal. One of the engineers connected Lisa's device to it, and the AI program began its work, seeking pathways into the Cravor command systems. It's in, the engineer said after several minutes. Accessing their neural network now. On the command deck, Drazkul was growing frustrated. His fleet had destroyed only 5 human vessels while losing 12 of their own to the hit-and-run attacks. Such losses were unheard of for the collective. Order all ships to regroup, he commanded. We will advance on their home planet as one force. They cannot... He stopped mid-sentence as pain shot through his neural implant. Around him, other Cravor officers grabbed their heads in similar pain. What is happening? He demanded. But even as he spoke, his ship's systems began failing around him. Lights flickered, weapons went offline, and communication systems fell silent. Throughout the Cravor fleet, similar chaos erupted. The human AI program spread from ship to ship through the neural network, causing cascading failures in weapons, engines, and life support systems. On the Shadowstrike, Olivia and her team raced back to their ship as alarms blared throughout the Cravor flagship. The virus worked, Lisa shouted as they reached the airlock. It's spreading through their entire fleet. Across the solar system, the Cravor ships drifted, their systems compromised. Some managed to maintain basic functions, but their coordinated fleet action had collapsed into individual vessels trying to restore control. In the Earth Command Center, cheers erupted as they watched the enemy fleet's disarray on their screens. Order, all ships to engage, Admiral Reeves commanded. Take out their weapons and engines, but leave life support intact when possible. Earth's fleet, now united, swept through the disabled Cravor ships. With surgical precision, they disabled vessel after vessel. Some Cravor ships, regaining partial control, turned to flee the solar system. Drazkul watched in disbelief as his mighty fleet was defeated by a species he had considered primitive. Using emergency systems, he managed to restore enough power to his flagship to send a message to the collective homeworld. Humanity is not like the others, he transmitted. They fight differently. They think differently. The collective must prepare. Then his flagship, too, lost power as the human AI completed its work. For the first time in his long life, Supreme Executor Drazkul felt something new, the cold grip of fear. As the remaining functional Cravor ships retreated from the solar system, they carried with them news that would shake the collective to its core. A new species had emerged, one that had overcome their superior technology with unpredictable tactics and reckless courage. On Earth, humans celebrated their first victory. But Admiral Reeves, Captain Wright, and the others who had led the defense knew this was just the beginning. They had surprised the Cravor once. The next time, the enemy would be prepared. We've won a battle, Admiral Reeves told the United Nations Security Council. But the war has just begun, and the galaxy will never be the same. The galaxy shuddered in fear. Then humanity showed up. Part 4 news of humanity's victory spread quickly across the galaxy. In the 3 weeks following the battle, Earth's long-range sensors detected unusual activity at the edge of the solar system. Strange ships appeared briefly before disappearing again. They weren't War vessels. They had different designs, different energy signatures. "They're watching us," Admiral Reeves said during a meeting with her top commanders. "Word of our victory has spread." Captain Daniel Wright studied the sensor readings of the unknown ships. "Are they friends or enemies?" "That's what we need to find out," Admiral Reeves replied. She turned to the view screen where Zexel was displayed from another room. "Any ideas who these visitors might be?" Zexel's color shifted to a thoughtful blue shade. "Many species have suffered under Kravor rule. Some have been in hiding for generations. They may be curious about you." The next day, a single ship entered the solar system openly. It was elegant and curved, unlike the angular Kravor vessels. It transmitted a simple message in multiple languages, including a rough approximation of English. "We come to speak, not fight." The United Nations Space Command established a new diplomatic corps within days. Ambassador Nicole Baker, a former peace negotiator with a calm voice and steady hands, was chosen to lead it. She had worked on conflicts on Earth for 20 years before the alien contact. "Invite them to our orbital station," Admiral Reeves instructed Nicole. "We'll show appropriate caution but also openness." 3 days later, Nicole welcomed the first official alien delegation to humanity's solar system. The visitors called themselves the Ardani, tall, slender beings with iridescent skin and 4 arms. Their ambassador, Threlvak, bowed deeply to Nicole. "We have observed your battle with the collective," Threlvak said through a translator. "For 3 centuries, no species has defeated a Kravor fleet, yet you did so with fewer ships and lesser technology." Nicole smiled. "We had advantages they didn't expect." "Indeed." Threlvak's large eyes blinked slowly. "And now others wish to meet you as well." Within 2 weeks, 27 different alien species had sent representatives to Earth. Some came openly while others arrived in secret, still fearful of Kravor retaliation. The orbital diplomatic station became a hub of alien activity, filled with beings of all shapes, sizes, and biological compositions. Nicole found herself working 18-hour days, learning about cultures from across the galaxy. Some species had been hiding from the Kravor for generations. Others paid tribute to avoid destruction. A few, like the Ardani, had been secretly building resistance for years, but lacked the military strategy to challenge the collective directly. During a major diplomatic session, Nicole proposed something unprecedented. "Earth wishes to form an alliance," she announced to the gathered representatives. "Not based on strength or dominance, but on mutual respect and cooperation." Murmurs spread through the room. Many alien delegates seemed confused by the concept. "You defeated Kravor," said a reptilian delegate named Kasthal. "By galactic tradition, you should now demand our submission and resources." Nicole shook her head. "That's not our way. We believe all sentient beings have the right to freedom and self-determination." "Unusual concept," Threlvak commented. "In galactic history, the strong have always ruled the weak." "Perhaps it's time for galactic history to change," Nicole replied. As the diplomatic talks continued, UNSC Security Chief Alan Garcia noticed unusual activity on the station. A veteran of Earth's special forces with sharp eyes and quick reflexes, Alan had been chosen to head security for the alien delegations. "Something's not right," he told Nicole after a particularly tense meeting. "Some of the maintenance staff don't match our personnel records." "Infiltrators?" Nicole asked quietly. Alan nodded. "I've doubled the guards discreetly, but we need to be careful." That night, as the delegates gathered for a cultural exchange event, Alan spotted movement in a restricted area. He signaled to his security team and moved quietly through the service corridors. There, he found 3 beings placing small devices on the station's support structures. They weren't human. Their crimson skin identified them instantly. "Kravor assassination team," Alan whispered into his comm unit. "Moving to intercept." The fight was brief but violent. Alan and his team had trained specifically for this possibility. They used non-lethal force when possible, but the Kravor were willing to die for their mission. 2 were captured. 1 died fighting. The devices were bombs, powerful enough to destroy the entire diplomatic section of the station. If they had succeeded, the leadership of 27 species would have been wiped out at once. When the delegates learned of the attempted attack, their reactions were mixed. Some wanted to flee immediately. Others called for war against the collective. In the chaos, Nicole called for calm. "This attack shows how afraid the Kravor are of our unity," she told the gathered representatives. "They fear what we might accomplish together." Threlvak stepped forward. "The human security forces saved all our lives today. They could have protected only themselves, but they risked their lives for all species present." The words had an impact. Many delegates who had been skeptical of Earth's proposed alliance now looked at humans differently. The next day, 15 species formally joined what would become known as the Galactic Cooperative. Meanwhile, in the secure section of the station, Lisa Monroe interrogated the captured Kravor agents with Zexel's help. What they learned was disturbing. "The collective is mobilizing their entire fleet," Lisa reported to Admiral Reeves. "Not just a battle group like before. Thousands of ships." Admiral Reeves's face remained calm, but her eyes showed concern. "How long do we have?" 3 months at most," Lisa replied. "They're gathering forces from across their territory." That evening, Admiral Reeves called an emergency meeting with Earth's military leadership. Captain Wright, Commander Rivera, Lieutenant Pearson, and others gathered to hear the news. "The Kravor are coming back," Admiral Reeves announced. "And this time, they're bringing everything they have." The room was silent as the implications sank in. Their previous victory had been against 200 ships. Now they would face thousands. "We beat them once," Commander Rivera said finally. "We can do it again. Not with the same tactics," Captain Wright replied. "They'll be ready for our guerrilla approach this time." Admiral Reeves nodded. "Exactly, which is why we need something new." She pressed a button, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the table. "It's time to implement Protocol Prometheus." The display showed a complex AI system unlike anything they had used before. Most of those present had never seen it. "What is this?" Lieutenant Pearson asked. "Humanity's best-kept secret," Admiral Reeves answered. "And perhaps our only hope against what's coming." As the Kravor Grand Armada prepared for the journey to Earth, and the newly formed Galactic Cooperative gathered what forces they could, humanity worked day and night on their new strategy. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if the upstart species could perform another miracle against overwhelming odds. The galaxy shuddered in fear. Then humanity showed up. Part 5, the Kravor. Grand Armada entered the solar system with 3,000 ships. They moved as one massive force, filling the space near Pluto like a swarm of angry insects. Supreme High. Commander Vornax, the highest military authority in the collective, led the fleet personally. After the humiliation of their first defeat, nothing less would do. "The humans have had time to prepare," Vornax told his commanders. "We will not underestimate them again." The Kravor had studied the recordings from their first failed invasion. They had analyzed human tactics and developed countermeasures. Their ships now had improved shields against hacking attempts and new formations to counter guerrilla attacks. On Earth, Admiral Reeves watched the enemy fleet's approach with steady eyes. Around her, the command center hummed with activity as personnel monitored screens and coordinated with their new alien allies. The Galactic Cooperative had contributed nearly 400 ships to Earth's defense. "They've adapted to our previous strategy," Commander Rivera noted. "Just as we expected." Admiral Reeves nodded. "Then it's time to show them something they've never seen before." She turned to a secure terminal. "Activate Protocol Prometheus." Throughout Earth's fleet, special compartments opened on each ship. Inside were quantum computers housing advanced AI systems called Strategic Combat Assistants, or SCAs. Unlike simple computers, these were true artificial intelligences, designed to think and adapt at speeds no organic mind could match. "Connect SCAs to all ship systems," Admiral Reeves ordered. On the bridge of the advanced Dreadnought Defiance, Captain Daniel Wright watched as his ship's SCA came online. A holographic interface appeared beside him, taking the form of a glowing blue sphere. "Athena online, Captain," the AI announced. "All systems integrated and functioning at optimal levels." Similar scenes played out across the human fleet. Each ship paired with an AI partner, creating a fighting force unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Zexel, who stood on the command deck of the Defiance as an advisor, watched in amazement. "You trust machines with such power?" he asked. Daniel smiled. "They're not just machines to us. They're partners." The Kravor fleet advanced into the solar system, moving cautiously. They expected human ships to be hiding among the outer planets, but scans showed nothing. "Where are they?" Fornax demanded. His question was answered moments later when the entire human fleet suddenly appeared from behind the sun, having used its gravitational field to mask their energy signatures. The Earth ships moved in complex patterns that seemed chaotic at first glance, but were actually precisely coordinated by the SCAs. "Attack pattern Hydra," Fornax ordered, and his fleet spread out to surround the humans, but the Earth vessels and their AI companions had already calculated this response. They split into smaller groups, each targeting weak points in the Kravor formation that only the SCAs could identify in real time. Lieutenant Olivia Pearson, now commanding her own vessel, led a strike team through a gap in the Kravor lines. "SCA Helena, plot firing solutions for maximum disruption," she ordered. "Calculating," her AI partner responded, "firing solutions complete." Olivia's ship fired precisely targeted shots that disabled key communication nodes on multiple enemy vessels, causing confusion in their ranks. Meanwhile, in a research vessel beyond the main battle, Lisa Monroe and Zexil made a critical discovery. "The Kravor have modified their neural implants," Lisa said as she studied sensor readings. "Our previous virus won't work." Zexil pointed to a different reading. "But look, they've added a new frequency band to coordinate their fleet movements." Lisa's eyes widened. "Which means we can target that specific frequency with an electromagnetic pulse." They quickly developed a modified EMP weapon designed to disrupt the new Kravor coordination system. The plans were transmitted to the human fleet, where the SCAs immediately began adapting ship systems to deploy the weapon. The battle raged across the solar system. Despite humanity's advanced tactics, the sheer number of Kravor ships began to take its toll. Several Earth vessels were destroyed, and many of their alien allies suffered heavy damage. On the Defiance, Daniel received troubling news. "Sir, the Kravor have broken through the outer defense line. They're targeting Earth directly." Daniel made a decision. "All power to engines. We're going after the command ship." The Defiance accelerated toward the massive Kravor flagship, dodging enemy fire with maneuvers too complex for human reflexes alone. Athena, the ship's SCA, controlled much of the navigation, allowing the human crew to focus on weapons and shields. "We're in range of the modified EMP," Daniel announced. "All ships in position, fire on my mark." Across the battlefield, 50 human vessels fired the electromagnetic pulse simultaneously. The carefully targeted energy wave swept through the Kravor fleet, disrupting their new coordination frequency. Ship after ship lost formation as confusion spread through their ranks. But the Kravor flagship had special shielding. It continued to advance toward Earth, leading a group of ships still under control. "Their flagship is protected," Daniel said grimly. "We need to get closer." The Defiance took heavy fire as it approached the massive enemy vessel. Warning alarms blared throughout the ship as systems began to fail. "Hull breach on decks 3 through 5, reported Jack Harris, now Daniel's first officer. "Shields at 12%. Daniel looked at the tactical display. The Kravor flagship was almost in range to attack Earth directly. There was only one option left. "Evacuate all non-essential personnel to escape pods," he ordered. "Jack, you have command of the evacuation." Jack stared at him. "Sir?" "I'm staying with the ship," Daniel said calmly. Athena and I have one more job to do. As the crew abandoned ship, Daniel plotted a direct course for the Cravor flagship's command center. The Defiance was critically damaged but still had engines and navigation. Athena, override all safety protocols, Daniel ordered. Divert all remaining power to engines and disable autopilot safeguards. Understood, Captain, the AI responded. It has been an honor serving with you. The Defiance accelerated toward the enemy flagship, becoming a massive projectile. Cravor weapons fired desperately, but it was too late. Daniel's ship crashed into the command center of Vornax's vessel, causing a chain reaction that destroyed both ships instantly. The loss of their supreme commander and flagship threw the remaining Cravor forces into disarray. Without central coordination, the once mighty armada became a collection of individual ships fighting for survival. The battle ended 3 hours later. The Cravor fleet retreated in disorder, leaving hundreds of destroyed or captured ships behind. Earth had stood against the greatest military force in the galaxy and won, but at a great cost. 1 week later, representatives from the Galactic Cooperative gathered on Earth for a memorial service. They honored all who had fallen in the battle, but special tribute was paid to Captain Daniel Wright and the crew of the Defiance. Ambassador Nicole Baker addressed the assembled representatives. In the face of overwhelming odds, we found strength, not in dominance but in unity. Not just among our own kind, but with new friends from across the stars. And not just with other organic beings, but with the artificial intelligences we created as partners, not slaves. As her words spread across the galaxy, the Cravor collective began to fracture. Many subjugated species rose up against their weakened masters. The age of domination was ending. A new saying began to spread among the stars. The galaxy shuddered in fear. Then humanity showed up.